Hi, welcome to my video. This is going to be my thoughts on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6, Episode 6, Inescapable. The episode is rated TV 14, so will this video be, and like all other videos I've done on the show, there will be spoilers for the episode itself and everything MCU and adjacent leading up to it. Love every episode of the show, most things MCU and adjacent. Let's dive right in. So, this is one of those things. I'm not saying that I would want all episodes of this show to be like this. But at the same time, every single time they do one like this, I love it. Like, just, yeah. So, you know, other than this, I would definitely say the one, I forget the number, but there's, you know, number and then hours, the one with Gemma on the planet. You know, and there's at least one other, but yeah, you know, these largely not self-contained plot-wise, but self-contained in that, you know, there's a complete story, and it's not the entire cast, and there's this, like, I suppose if they actually were saving money on them, which I'm not sure they are, they would be like bottle episodes. Yeah, really loved the exploration of the psyches of the two, of Fitzsimmons, even if they didn't necessarily. And just, yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna get to every single individual, just, yeah, I loved almost everything in the entire episode. So the let's see, probably not going to be able to keeping it chronological, but I think I will just briefly start with, yeah, they're at the start where we don't know, at the top of the episode, where we don't know yet that it's a mind prison. You know, yeah, very clever, this thing of, you know, okay, you can make anything in here, and, you know, here, look over there, there's, you know, in the construct, we can make anything we need. So, there's the chemistry set, you know, and then, like, they're just sitting there, they're eating, like, oh, was that the sandwich that she... No, wait, no, that sandwich was, like, more complicated. The one that Ward threw away because the dogs would smell it. That was more complex than the one he ate there. But, yeah, you know, and there's, like, desserts, and they're talking about, you know, and like, practically comparing... You know, like, oh, you should see what I experienced. Well, you should see what I experienced. Well, you know... And, yeah, understandably, she's reluctant to tell him everything. You know, it is a lot, and he does kind of break down temporarily when he sees it, which I suppose is the show like making an argument against binging it, or possibly just like watching one of those videos that sum up everything that happened without pausing, at least. Yeah, and the thing with, you know, he's trying to get her to answer it, notices she keeps pulling away from it, and he is like, oh, the monolith, we gotta, you know, and yeah, at the end of the episode, they come right out and say it, you know, she hides away from the pain, and he tries to engineer his way out of it, you know. But yeah, suddenly, you know, we're dealing with Gemma at 7. I'm sorry, 7.5. I will admit, I remember being at an age where I was like, excuse you, and a half to my age, so yeah. And he, you know, he follows her into one of her memories that he didn't experience, and suddenly I'm watching Legion. I mean, I'm not complaining. Now, let's see, yeah, and her being just kind of a brat, you know, like screaming when she doesn't get a bedtime story and calling him a butt face, I think it was, just, oh, real mature. And, you know, she's like playing with the chemistry set and the thing. Oh, okay, so can you solve time travel? I'm still on integrals, you know, just, yeah, such great. And the thing with, you know, the storybook, and it's the story of them trying to save him, and then, oh, what book is this? Ooh, Darkhold. Nope, get it away from me. Killed with fire. And let's see, the yeah, the thing with right, the way that he manages to get her to grow up mentally, yeah, is to bring up Ada, which, yeah, she's very frustrated by, you know, and I do appreciate this thing of, like, yeah, they know how to push each other's buttons. And, yeah, the thing with, oh, it's, you know, the music box that keeps all the secrets, and she's, yeah, he beat me, Fitz beat me to making the Ringu comparison. So I'll just point out, this is a good episode to watch during Halloween. But yeah. And they did a great, the makeup, the lighting, and just her performance, like, it's fantastic. You know, like, I would watch if she did start just playing, you know, I'm going to make sure to get her name right, Elizabeth Henstridge, because I keep thinking of the other Henstridge, because I'm, you know, more used, well, not at this point, but I used to be more used to Natasha Henstridge, and apparently they're not related, which just makes it confusing, and I'm rambling. This is a good episode to ramble about. Ramblers, let's get rambling. Yeah, if Henstridge just starts playing, you know, Ringu, yeah, Samara, I think is the English version. It's been a while since I watched, you know, did watch the first of the two American ones and the second of the Japanese ones. I'd like to watch the first of the Japanese ones, haven't, you know, just hasn't been, yeah, I watched some of these on TV and some of them DVD, and I couldn't find the original on DVD, something like that. Anyway, yeah, let's see, and yeah, Leopold shows up and manages to lure her in. Do you really have such a low opinion of him? And did you really think you could mess around in your thoughts without me? And just, yeah, and like, yeah, from what I understand, you know, it's your mind makes it real. If one of them does die inside their mind, the body will, or maybe the body will die, or maybe the brain will read it as the body dying, and it'll cause some brain damage or something like that. You know, like being born during an earthquake, for example. Yeah, what was the other thing? Right, I quite appreciate the repeated, you know, we are unstoppable today. I mean, together. And I think, if you haven't already, you know, if you've watched the show, there's a decent chance you have Disney Plus. I think it's called Empower. Really great, you know, just, yeah, the women of the MCU talking about female empowerment. Awesome. At this point, that is the first thing I think of when I think of the Sia song. Yes, so the, right, I appreciate the marching of the Hydra. Yeah. I was wondering if they're going to find a way, because if they didn't find a way to get Hydra into this season, it would be the first season. I'm pretty sure there's been at least some Hydra in every single other season, you know, so, yeah. Early on, I did not think they would, but by the end of, was it season 1 or season 2, I kind of thought, oh, I guess we're done with Hydra then, but yeah. I'm not complaining. I love it when Hydra shows up here. They're the villains you love to hate. And they actually acknowledge, you know, the Hydra Nazi thing and are actually against Nazis. If you haven't already, watch Going Rampant's video on how Captain America the First Avenger isn't technically anti-fascist, I think is the... Did I put... I forget if I'm still putting that in the description box for each of these. Anyway, it's such a good video, and, you know, relates to the show and the MCU. Yes, I think that does get us nicely into... Yeah, great reuse of sets and costume changes and such, and I do really appreciate the facial hair of Fitz changing just enough that we can always tell which one we're looking at. I don't know why we're still saying friend zone. Like, this episode is from, like, 2019. Are we seriously still using the term friend zone? But anyway, yeah, it was great, this thing, you know, he has no idea how to talk to her, you know, oh, I don't actually need your help, I just need, you know, and she points out, so I'm a wall, you know, I'm a thick wall, and he does manage to somewhat save it. And the thing about, yeah, you're 24 minutes late, do you realize, 25 and 2 seconds late, what is going on, you know, and just the performance, you know, Ian de Kesteker, fantastic, because it really does feel like, no, this is the Fitz from way before, you know, from before the start of the show, and before he was comfortable around Simmons, which, in all the time we've known both of them, you know, other than these flashbacks and such, mind prisons, they've always been so comfortable with each other, you know. I think that does bring us to, yeah, genuinely such a devastating scene when Fitz realizes all these different things, you know, I died, Coulson died, all the, just, yeah, and such great acting by, you know, like, when you're around other people, there's a, you know, I mean, unless you're, like, on the autism spectrum, and I'm not saying that to diss anyone, you know, there's people I absolutely love who are on the autism spectrum. Anyway, yeah, if you're not, you're likely when there's people around, especially ones you care about, you're going to be likely to, like, look at them and try to engage with them. Fantastic job by the cast in the scene where all this is revealed, because Fitz isn't supposed to be there, you know, and for most of the scene, they don't react to... They react as if he's not there, and they don't really react to Gemma talking to him or about him the way she does. You know, fantastic job, because that's not what's going on here, you know. And that's maybe also part of what makes us and them realize, oh, hey, they can call for backup, you know, they can bring in the others, and that was also great, you know, Quake coming in, you call for backup, and, you know, she uses her powers, some more great hand-to-hand combat with her. And let's see, with I love that before we see it, we hear the shotgun axe. And right, I don't know how I managed to forget calling that out. Love that appearing in the framework when Deke was, yeah. What was the other thing? Right, love. So in an earlier episode, Simmons was like, I'll bet if we keep you hanging upside down for long enough, it's gonna be painful, and you're gonna perish. And then, yeah, here we see, you know, okay, so it's like the Samara version of Gemma. Jessamara. Just, yeah, this is part of her, you know, and she says, I like this dissections. Which, if we're talking about someone, like, she's trying to learn from alien dead body, for example, you know, like, maybe don't say like dissections, but, like, it's fine to say, we learn so much from them, they're fascinating. But yeah, you know, like, the twisted version of that is to like them and to start killing someone for that. I mean, she is essentially she's practically vivisecting him, you know. You said this was mine, you know. Just one thing, I do believe it is customary before you reach in and rip someone's heart out to ask for their clothes first, preferably in an Austrian accent. Now, I think that does bring us to, yeah, them, you know, they flee, and end up inside the pod. It's like, why aren't there controls in there? Because it's supposed to contain. If there were controls, it wouldn't contain. This is like when we were at the bottom of the sea. Oh, right, the water. Yeah, this is such a great... I know that's not the verbatim line, but yeah. And I am not the biggest fan of this thing of like, oh, they hate each other, so they must secretly love each other. But I do appreciate this is also the sort of thing that both of them need right now, because, yeah, there's been a lot, and they have to communicate about these things. And ideally, you know, it shouldn't become a shouting match, but they are also, you know, for a while they're saying mean things and bringing, you know, ripping up old wounds and such. But by the end of it, they are, you know, pointing out, as I said earlier in the video, you know, she puts it away. They're thinking, oh, you are so English. Well, you're so Scottish. And, you know, he engineers his way out of things. Both of them, you know, can sometimes cause harm by the way they try to either process or not process their pain. But yeah, the fact that at the end they're shouting, you know, I love you too. Then why are we shouting? Which is a fun alternative to why are we whispering? But I did think they were gonna kiss, but then on the other hand, you know, as soon as the doors open, that is in fact what is happening with the their other, yeah. Gemma Samara and Leopold, and yeah, I mean, I'd say get a room, but I don't know if they have the mind powers to do that inside the mind prison. And the thing about, I didn't know you'd do that, I didn't know you would like that, you know, just, yeah. I think, oh right, yeah, when she's being Tahiti'd, that's like Tahitiception, you know. And I do also appreciate, you know, Enoch is right that this is extremely risky, and Atara, you know, we can understand she desperately wants to save their home planet. You know, there's that thing about, you know, they used to be from sickness, but no longer. They're not even in death anymore. And in health. Wow, I botched that punchline. Anyway, moving on. Gonna pretend that didn't happen. Yeah, they're at the end where she pops up, or they pop up. Atara pops up, and it's like, well, that was a waste of, you know, just, yeah, that was also fun. And, yeah, collapses. There's the shrill tone, and we see Enoch did manage to, you know, because that was at the, you know, earlier in the episode, I guess not at the very start, but when we see that it's a mind prison, you know, there's that thing about Enoch, you know, is he going to, because he does, they do clearly want to, Enoch clearly wants to, you know, and yeah, there at the end we see, yeah, Enoch did indeed do it. And, you know, now has the gun that the hunter had. And, you know, embrace me. And the thing, you are the absolute worst. Right, let's see. That might actually be more or less. But yeah, I really love that by the end of the episode they are out of the mind prison, and yeah, I can imagine they are not going to do time travel, and it is also, you know, yeah, it can create a lot of problems, so probably better to try to get back to Earth and then focus on making it not happen again. You know, that was also great. The thing about, you know, the Mac doing the big, you know, monologue, and then Daisy interrupts. They're here. Sort of stepped on my moment, but yeah, they're here. Get used to it. And I forget if I've called it out before, but these last couple of episodes have really underlined to me, you know, much like Data, Chronocoms tend to not really like contractions, which, like, I don't know how you're going to reproduce without any of those. But yeah, you know, when Atara is, you know, monologuing, and speaking very intently, very purposefully, and talking about, you know, have to figure out time travel. There are those who would say that me using contractions would save time and make sure we had more of it, not needing time transplants, to figure out time travel, and those people are wrong.